I still remember the night the fire came to our village. My name is Kwame, and I have lived all my life in Ebanja, a small village nestled between the rolling hills and dense forests of southern Nigeria. Life in Ebanja was simple, ruled by the rhythms of the seasons and the wisdom of our elders. But everything changed on that night. It was during the Poit's New Yam Festival, a time when we honored the harvest and paid tribute to our ancestors. The air was thick with the scent of roasted yams, palm wine flowed freely, and laughter echoed across the village square. Our pratis, Oba, Chief Aduk, presided over the celebrations with pride, his red cap gleaming under the moonlight. But as midnight approached, something shifted. A strange wind swept through the village, rustling the leaves of the Aprokui Iroko. Trees with an unsettling whisper. Then, without warning, a flame erupted from the center of the square, right next to the ancestral shrine. At first, we thought it was part of the celebration, but the fire grew taller, fiercer, devouring everything in its path except the shrine itself. We tried everything to put it out. Buckets of water from the river, sand, even beating it with palm fronds. Nothing worked. The fire licked the air, crackling with a sound that seemed almost like laughter. The heat was unbearable. But what chilled us to the bone was the realization that this fire was not natural. By dawn, the square was a blackened ruin, but the fire still burned. Our elders gathered in haste, their faces etched with fear and confusion. Elder Bisi, the oldest among them, spoke first. "This is no ordinary fire," she said, her voice trembling. "We have angered the spirits." But no one knew how or why. Some whispered that it was the work of witchcraft. Others believed someone had desecrated the ancestral shrine. The village was in turmoil. Families abandoned their homes, and even the bravest among us dared not step near the cursed flames. Days turned into weeks, and the fire showed no sign of dying. Crops withered, and our river, once teeming with fish, began to dry. The very life of Ebanja was slipping away. That's when Mama Efe, a wise woman who lived on the outskirts of the village, returned. She had been away for months, visiting her sister in a neighboring town, but when she heard of our plight, she hurried back. Mama Efe was known for her deep knowledge of the old ways, the true traditions, and rituals passed down from our ancestors. When she saw the fire, she didn't flinch. She simply nodded and said, "This fire is a message." We gathered around her as she explained. Long ago, our ancestors made a pact with the spirits of this land. In exchange for fertile soil and bountiful harvests, we promised to honor them with respect and ritual. But we have forgotten our promises. Her words hit us like a thunderclap. Over the years, we had indeed grown lax. The younger generation, eager for modern ways, had dismissed many of the old customs. The Obahi himself had recently authorized the construction of a new marketplace that encroached on sacred ground. We had disturbed the balance. Mama Efe instructed us to prepare for a cleansing ritual. We gathered offerings, kola nuts, palm oil, and the finest yams, and dressed in white, symbolizing purity. The entire village assembled by the fire, chanting ancient songs that had not been sung in decades. But as the ritual progressed, the fire only roared louder, its flames dancing higher into the night sky. It was then that Mama Efe's eyes narrowed. She turned to Chief Aduk, her voice sharp. "There is something you are not telling us." The chief's face paled. After a tense silence, he confessed. "I took the sacred staff from the shrine," he whispered. "I thought it would bring me greater power, greater prosperity for our people." A gasp rippled through the crowd. The sacred staff was the heart of our village's spiritual connection to the ancestors. By removing it, the Oba had broken, the very pact that protected us. Mama Efe shook her head. "You must return it and seek forgiveness." With heavy steps, the Oba retrieved the staff from his home and approached the shrine. As he knelt, tears streaming down his face, he placed the staff back in its rightful place and begged the spirits for mercy. For a moment, nothing happened. The fire roared on, defiant. But then, slowly, the flames began to recede, their fierce glow dimming until only embers remained. The village held its breath as the final wisp of smoke curled into the night sky and disappeared. But the story didn't end there. The fire may have gone out, but the scars it left behind took much longer to heal. Chief Aduk stepped down from his position, choosing instead to serve as a humble advisor to the new Oba, his nephew Tunder, who ruled with wisdom and humility. Mama Efe became the village's spiritual guide, teaching the old ways to the younger generation, ensuring that the mistakes of the past were not repeated. The village square was rebuilt, but the site where the fire had burned was left untouched, a reminder of the price we paid for forgetting our roots. As for me, Kwame, I took it upon myself to document our village's history, sharing our story with neighboring communities to ensure that the lessons we learned would spread far and wide. Ebanja became known as the village that survived the IGU, unyielding fire, a symbol of resilience and the enduring power of tradition. To this day, whenever I pass the square, I can still feel the heat of that fire. But more than that, I feel the warmth of the spirits, watching over us, reminding us of the delicate balance between man and the land. And that's how Ebanja was saved. Not by force, but by remembrance. Months after the fire was extinguished, Ebanja faced another challenge, one that tested not just our faith, but our very understanding of the land we called home. Strange occurrences began to plague the outskirts of the village, particularly near the dense, whispering forest that bordered our fields. It began with the animals. Livestock disappeared without a trace, and hunters returned empty-handed, their faces pale with tales of eerie sounds and shadowy figures among the trees. Then the children started hearing whispers, soft, melodic voices calling them into the forest. Some claimed they saw figures made of smoke and shadow moving between the trees. Mama Efe gathered the elders once more, and I was there, documenting everything. She explained that the spirits were not just tied to our village, but to the entire landscape. The fire had been a warning, but the forest's unrest signaled something deeper, a lingering imbalance that needed to be addressed. We organized a forest vigil, a night of prayers, songs, and offerings to appease the spirits. But during the vigil, a young boy named Kalechi vanished. His disappearance sent a wave of fear through the village. And for the first time since the fire, doubt crept back into our hearts. Determined to find Kalechi and restore balance, Mama Efe led a small group, including myself, into the forest. The journey was fraught with danger and strange visions. We encountered Huantford's guardians, ethereal beings who tested our intentions and purity of heart. Through trials of courage, wisdom, and unity, we navigated the forest's mysteries. When we finally found Kalechi, he was in a trance, standing before an ancient tree, the Arpui, Echo of Echoes. This tree was the heart of the forest's spiritual energy, and it had been disturbed by deforestation and neglect from nearby communities. Mama Efe performed a sacred ritual to heal the tree, and as she did, the whispers ceased, and Kalechi awoke. We returned to Ebanja with renewed respect for the interconnectedness of our land and spirits. The villagers planted new trees and held regular ceremonies to honor the forest, ensuring that the balance was maintained not just within the village, but in the land that sustained us. Our story grew beyond Ebanja, inspiring neighboring villages to reconnect with their traditions and protect the natural world. The fire that would not die became a beacon, a reminder that while flames may destroy, they also illuminate the path to renewal and unity. And so, our tale continues, woven into the fabric of Ebanja's legacy, a testament to the enduring power of remembrance and respect for the unseen forces that shape our world.